Hello, my name is CJ. I'm the owner of Neo, and today it's going to be me versus Apollo. Feel free to go to the comments and get the Discord link to my clan server Neo. We do lots of tournaments, we do lots of study sessions. Just a great place to be. So if you're interested, go to the comments, and yeah, let's start rolling the clip.
Are you a Christian, brother? Neo? CJ? No.
Wait, what?
No. Are you Christian?
Yeah.
You gonna have a conversation about Trinitarianism, brother?
Maybe, but I want to interpret most of the verses as I haven't finished my Bible yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think that you worship either three gods or perhaps millions of gods, given your possession.
I mean, you want to catch up the argument?
Of course, definitely, right? So, you agree that you're counting God by the essence, not the persons, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and so when you're talking about the essence, you're talking about what God is, right? The nature of God. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so of course, all Christians are going to agree that there's a real distinction between the persons, which are distinct relations of origins. However, there's not a real distinction between the properties, which is going to be comprised in the divine essence, which is one undifferentiated reality. You agree with this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that means you believe that God's omnipotence is the same as God's omniscience, God's omniscience is the same as God's omnibenevolence, and God's omnipotence just is God.
Maybe not then. Wait. Like, you mean, I don't think that, like we're saying, what we take God to be, it can have different properties. Like, we can take omniscience to be distinct from.
You think that you don't think they're different properties insofar as they are numerically distinct? No, you don't believe this.
You're saying I'm committed to not believing that there's some real distinction?
Because you believe there's one divine essence. So you believe all of these properties are just the same thing.
No, I don't think anyone would be clear to that.
You don't think anyone says this? What are you talking about?
I don't think any Christian is committed to saying that there's no distinction between
all optimistic Trinitarians commit to this. What are you talking about? They commit to ADS. ADS makes the claim specifically that is the case, right? That the properties of God is identical to God. His essence is identical to God.
Oh, yeah, we can say that, but that doesn't mean that all the properties have no distinctions.
It means that yes, it would entail this because if you're identifying all the properties to be one and the same thing, then it would be the case that
we could have the set of all things, and we have the set of all properties.
Of all properties.
And we could denote that as a divine essence, and we could say that this is a subset, or any subset of this is part, or is a subset of his divine essence, but that doesn't commit itself.
Brother, they believe in ADS. ADS believes in the possession, right? That is the case that there's no real distinction between the properties. If there was to be a real distinction between the properties before interrupt, that would mean that the properties are numerically distinct, and because you're counting God by the essence, which is the property, which just is God, then you'd have to be conceding that there's numerically distinct gods. So he could not stop talking over me. Pipe down. So he could not believe that it is the case. They're numerically distinct. I'm saving you right now. I'm trying to save you. You cannot believe this, right? There's no Thomistic Trinitarian who believes, right, on the planet, right, that it is the case. Stop talking over me. I've warned you the first time, and you're still doing it because of bad manners, right? I've warned you the first time. There's no Thomistic Trinitarian which states that the properties of God is distinct from God. There's no Trinitarian who says this. They're not going to say God's omnipotence is, stop talking over me. They're not going to say God's omnipotence is different, is numerically distinct from his omniscience, or is numerically distinct from his omnibenevolence, because that's going to conjugate the same proposition, which is to say that God's essence is just God.
Yeah, no. Listen, I did address that. I said that I'm not disagreeing with that. We define God by the essence, where his essence could be broken up into these properties. Again, that's why I gave my analogy, which is
God by the essence. No, you just say God is identical to the essence.
Yeah.
Identity claim, not just the definition of him.
Yeah, or I mean, identity claim. Definition claim is that by which we attach the semantics to the linguistic token. So
no, you can define God. You can define God to be. No, you can define God to be an omniscient creator, and that claim specifically is conceptually distinct from saying that God just is those properties, which is numerically identical. One is just an identity claim. A definitional claim, on the contrary, is usually not an identity claim, but rather a predicated.
Yeah, what? You think I mean, obviously, if we take it,
it's a predicated claim.
If we take identity to be that which is a composite of the properties, then this definitional claim.
Composite of the properties. What are you talking about? No,
Yeah.
no. You're LARP, and identity is an operation function. Stop talking over me. It's an operation function, right? Which tells us specifically about a satisfaction of conditions in FOL, right? So it's not a composite. I'm not sure where you get that from. And again, even in FOL, identity operation is a primitive relation, which is distinguished from property descriptions, which are predication.
Just to be clear, I want to be super clear. You did cut me off, but I let you talk, so I'm gonna respond on why that's actually mischecked. Within FOL, obviously, we can take the identity relation as a set of 4X with hex stands in an order relation to X, and then when we have that.
I don't understand what you're saying, by the way.
That's the identity relation in FOL. So I don't know what you like within when you open up OLC.
I'm telling you.
But any sense. Wait, listen.
You mumbled over your words. You mumbled. No one understood what you're saying.
My bad. But when we look at the identity relation, we can look at it given from the OLC. It's the order set such that 4LX it stands in relation to itself, and it's a reflexive, symmetric, and then transitive relation. And obviously, we can take that to be the case. But obviously, when we look at what it means for it to hold and all of these three properties, we realize that if there's some sort of semantic distinctions between the elements X and X, the identity relation would fail, such that we can say or draw a biconditional relation between. Wait, listen. I'm drawing it now. I'm drawing how it attacks your point. No, I'm drawing how it attacks your point. If we were to draw a distinction between the identity, wait, listen, bro. I am right now. Like, why are you interrupting me?
Way off point.
I'm answering your question. Oh my! How you gonna interrupt me? That
I'm gonna ask you a question. I made a point. You went way off points. So what we're talking about here, stay focused and lock into the conversation, right? So no one is saying any of those points are incorrect because those points are not even relevant to my points here. The point I'm making here is that you made a claim that if you believe in atheists, you're not going to automatically be committed to the position that is the case that God or the attributes are numerically identical. You would be committed to this.
No, I'm explaining.
Yes.
Why would you interrupt
the conversation? Yes, you would be committed to this because you believe there's one divineness. Correct?
No.
Do you believe in this?
Wait, what?
Yes or no? Do you believe in this?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you believe in this? Yes or no? Do you believe there's one divine essence or no? Do you believe there's one divine essence or no?
Oh, there's one divine. Yeah, we can say that. Yeah, it's divine essence.
There's one divine essence. So, are you counting God by that one divine essence or no?
Yeah, we're denoting as a.
And on the clip, you agree that the divine essence is specifically what God is, right? The nature of God, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if there's one divine essence, and one divine essence is the nature of God, which is the properties of God, then it would have to be the case that these properties are one and the same thing.
No! Here, wait, let me fine. You know what? I was listen. You interrupted me while I was explaining the distinction. So I did it twice. So instead, I'm going to take a different route. I'm just going to provide you a kind of model and see how you address it. So let's say this, right? Let's say I define an apple as all things such that they fulfill two properties, right? Let's say being red, and let's say being red, and let's say having flesh. And so if we define, dude, stop interrupting, dude. You see how I have not interrupted you once, my brother. I have not interrupted you once. So just let me finish. This one's way quicker. we can define an apple as a set by which fulfills two properties, which can say, let's just say, for example, is being red and having flesh, such that when denoted these two, we can form the set by which we would denote as an apple, in the same sense that we can have or denote God as a collection of the sets within his defined properties. But obviously, then we can still hold to the distinction between things that are red and between things that have flesh. It's still numerically distinct, even though this set is knowing them as a composite of relations. So that's going to be
you're not going to say, given your possession, you would not say God is a collection which involves different elements, because that would be a concession.
No, that's you begging the question.
You're stuttering, bro.
That's you begging the question.
You're claim that God is a collection, and that you're going to be saying is a collection of elements, and that you're going to be distinguishing the elements within that set right? The elements there
Yes.
appears to be something which is operating as parts, and that's going to debunk the first prop of the atheist position, which is simply that God is a being which is not metaphysically composite, and the second prop, which is to say that the things, the properties which is true of God, are going to be the types of things which are numerically identical. These are the two
No.
props. If you read the first paragraph, stop talking over me, because when I'm talking and you're interrupting my point, you're interrupting something which makes sense. When I interrupt your point, I'm interrupting something which does not make sense. There's a huge difference, right? So, on the SCP, Stanford Encyclopedia of Philosophy specifically talks about Aquinas' account, Augustine's account of ADS, and then it clarifies and defines ADS in the first paragraph. And their definition, verbatim, specifically talks about two tenets of this position. The first prop that they highlight, which describes absolute divine simplicity according to medieval theorists, is specifically talking about the idea that it is the case that they do not believe God is a metaphysical composite. The second prop is to say that God is identical to his essence, the properties. If God is identical to the essence, the properties, and just taking God to just be the one divine essence, which is just going to be the case that you believe there's one and the same divine essence, which are the properties of God, then necessarily, because you believe the divine essence, which are the properties of God, is one and the same, then necessarily you'd have to believe that the properties would have to be one and the same. So you are
I heard you re-say it. I heard you re-say your position.
You lost the point, dude.
No, wait. Here, if you think that I'm dead-ass mistracking, well, when we look at the conversation, I've provided why, like the reason you just gave. I quite literally not only provided an argument against it, but while I was cashing out, you interrupted me. So then I was like, okay, instead of me providing an argument, then I guess I'll just present you the counter model. So just to be clear, using that line of reasoning, how would you address the counter model I gave? And what's the relevance of a breaker?
Yeah, so actually, just to counter argument by pointing out that in the context of ADS, they're talking about extensional identity relations, and you're invoking identity as a primitive relation in the context of FOL, which is treating identity as absolute identity, which is going to be a conjunct of both extensional identity and intentional identity relations. There you go.
Just to be clear, how exactly did I respond? Can you apply it?
Because it is the case that identity relations, the semantics of identity, and FOL is far more primitive, and it's also something which is distinct from the relevant identity that's being picked out by atheist proponents in metaphysical conversations.
Yeah, I don't exactly know what's being conveyed there.
Do you know what extensional identity relation is?
No, I don't exactly know.
So, okay, so then you'd agree that your position got demolished, so we can move over to the conversation.
No, what? What? No.
You guys are LARPer.
No, I'm not a lawyer. No, you said that just because you were denying if we hold to the identity relation within ADS that God is defined solely or God is because you have some
Never made this
like
claim. No.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because while we were investigating that, you decided while I was providing that there's no distinction between that, you decided to interrupt me. So then I just tried to drop that. But anyways, we can hold to it your way because it doesn't matter. It's being gracious. When we say God is, when we say that God is his divine essence, and necessarily God is his divine essence, and divine essence has these compositive or distinctive elements. That doesn't mean that the elements are now numerically distinct. I mean, numerically identical. Because we can provide a counter model where we say that X. Wait, what? No, because you're not answering my question though. You have not answered. You've ducked the objection. Wait, dude, you've ducked my question.
You got dunked on, bro. Just relax.
No, bro, you've ducked my question so many times. I'm gonna say it here. I'm gonna make it very, very, very clear.
How is it going to be the case? You asked me how is it going to be the case? It would in fact be true that what I said would be debunked what you said in the context of identity and as to how it's construed. In FOL, I've explained this to why it should be the case because identity in FOL is picking out something completely different from the type of relevant identity in the context of ADS when they're claiming it to be the case that God's essence is God or God's essence is the type of thing which is identical to God. In that specific case, they're picking out extensional identity, but in the context of FOL, that's not necessarily the identity relation you're picking out. You could be picking out an identity relation which is more expansive, more exhaustive, such that it is picking out not just extensional identity, but
cash out
and intentional identity. So you lost that point.
No. You saying that doesn't mean I lost it. Cash out extensive identity. Like you made a claim. I'm addressing
extensional identity. It's pronounced extensional identity. Not extensive.
My bad then. Extensional identity.
Yeah. Do you know what extensional states of a concept is?
No. Cash out.
So you're just not dedicated enough to talk about the conversation.
No, if you want to
So
take, me not knowing a term as I don't want to talk anymore, then I mean, this conversation's not really been that fun. So
I'm giving
I
you
mean,
a free lecture right now on the topic. Just relax for a second and just pipe down. So do you know frigate sense reference distinction?
Oh yeah, I do.
Okay, cool. So reference is considered to be an extensional state, right? It's the
Got it.
thing out
Oh
there.
yeah, got it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what we're talking about. So no, there's no Thomistic Trinitarian or Catholic or Orthodox is going to be adopting ADS and claim that the very same thing they're counting God by is numerically distinct. If they believe that, then they believe
No, I don't wait. No, wait. It's not just basic question.
then they believe God, which is simple, is simultaneously numerically distinct, which is incompatible with them believing that God is a one undifferentiated reality, which is indivisible. You're a moron, bro. They don't believe in multiple divine beings.
No. You could still hold to that by denying that any subset of the nature retains the full identity relation there, and it still survives.
No, I can accept theories if you can even knowledge look beyond this, because I'm asking some very basic questions.
No, I've asked you the same basic question. You just begged the question.
Relevant to the conversation completely because it doesn't even address the point at hand, but also the point I'm making is specifically that the identity relation you try to pick out to establish your point as to why they do not believe that they're numerically identical is going to be you equivocating on identity, because one is picking out just merely identity as a primitive relation in the context of FOL, and the other is picking that identity which is more restricted, more specific.
I'm saying it's compatible under the more restricted view. No, it could be an existential. It could be an existential identity, and we can hold to that relation, and it still holds. No,
they'll believe they're existential identical.
No, the referent could be contained to that. Wait, what?
Are they counting God by the properties?
God by the properties? Yes.
Okay, so if they're counting God by the properties, right? And they're numerically distinct properties.
Yes.
That means there are more than one properties, really distinct properties, which they're counting God by. Then that would be incompatible with them saying there's one God, because it is the case there would be numerically distinct.
Dude, just to be clear, wait, I'm asking you this one very short and simple question. Is the amount of sets equivalent to the amount of elements one set has? Very simple, very elementary question.
Dude, what are you saying?
Yeah, I'm saying when we can, let's say for example, let's say we have set X that has 3 elements. Is there now 3 sets that form an identity relation to the single set I've denoted there?
Sorry, what's the relevancy to my point?
Yeah, the relevancy is if you hold that no, there's not 3 sets, there's still only 1 set, then there's not 3 gods, there's still only one. Wait, even if it distinguishes, even if there's
my argument.
What you were trying to say was, what you were trying to say was, okay, so one, we have the first commitment, which says that a God is defined by his essence, or God is, because you don't like the semantic notion somehow, which is pretty slow, but you already interrupted me when I was giving my argument, so we don't have to talk about
by the properties, correct?
Yeah, it's counted by the
properties.
Yeah, God is counted by the properties.
Right?
Wait, God is counted by the, if you're not counted as, I guess, represented as different entities, I know.
When you say you worship one God, you're counting God by the properties. They're picking out the properties.
It's picking. If you index to picking out the properties, then yes, obviously.
Okay, what was the other part of my point?
Yeah. Your second point was to say that if there are numerically distinct elements, well, then we'd have multiple gods in that sense, or therefore be picking out more than one god.
Element is a set theoretic concept. You're talking about properties.
Yes. Properties is also a set theoretic concept. They even use shorthand notions. They use shorthand. Wait, listen. I can
name me one.
I'll name you the paper. I'll name you the paper.
Relax, brother. Relax.
I'm trying to answer your question. Okay, tell me relax.
Yeah, you don't know the question is. You don't know the question.
I do. You said name one paper. You said name one paper that captures that out. That's not the
topic of the question. You're cutting me off a big question. So it's not just that. Name me one book which is on set theory, and before I interrupt again, which says that properties, right, given that it's talked about in metaphysics, are used semantically interchangeably with elements of set theory.
No, I never said that, but it's still set theoretic notion.
So you agree that
no, but it's still a set theoretic notion. Right? Well, they use it short. Yo, listen, the book quote. Open Logic Complete, which it goes into native set theory in its first chapter, and in its first first couple pages, it talks about extensionality and it uses shorthand notions where it says, and almost paraphrased, where it says that sometimes we use the shorthand notion where we define a property and all elements that have this property is being denoted as a set. And we denote the shorthand notion as,
show the page.
and we denote the shorthand notion as set builder X for X that has a property.
Show the page, bro.
What? Got it. I'll take a screenshot. I'll be right back.
Mind you, by the way, property by definition is something true of an object. That's not the definition of an element in set theory. So they're necessarily not the same semantically.
Set theoretics. It doesn't mean we don't use properties set theoretically. You have the shorthand notion. You know what? I'll be right back. Stop adding claims on the
conversations, and you deny this.
What?
Don't use properties in set theoretic conversations.
Yes, you do. Hold up.
Is property set theoretic term or no? Yes or no?
You keep asking me. Yes, it is. It's used set theoretically as well.
Could you define an element, please, in the context of set theory?
It's just going to be a member of the set.
A member of a set, correct? And are those members, just to be clear, are those members treated as objects?
Yes.
In metaphysics, properties are distinguished from objects. You're a moron.
Yeah, they are distinguished. They're obviously distinguished.
You're garbage.
That's
You just blunder. The very fact you agree that objects are identical to members of sets in the context of set theory entails.
I never said that. I said there's still no. That's not. I said multiple times. That's not what I'm saying. I said that it's a used set theoretically. How I used it is used set theoretically.
That members of a set are objects, so they could not be properties given up properties.
Oh my god, that's not what I said. I said we can say stuff like we can say the set. We can say
4K. We call it 4K.
Oh my god, no, we stop talking over me. What the hell? There is something. The first page. You know what? Second page of the OLC. Second page of the OLC says we abbreviate. Oh my god, stop interrupting me.
Is not a standard term used in set theories.
Yes, it does. Hold up.
Used. Yes or no? Are members of a set objects? Yes or no?
Big screen me. This slow boy.
Yes or no?
Big screen me.
Are members of a set objects? Go this big screen. Go ahead.
You're fucking blunder. Second page is the OLC. It's kind of complicated, but it says somehow we use the shorthand notion where we say X for all X that have the property. You see how it uses the predicate? How it uses property sets theoretically. Slow boy, it's right there. The shorthand notion. The shorthand notion. Yeah.
Which paragraph?
Right above subsets and power sets. The second paragraph above.
We're talking about.
Sometimes we use the shorthand notion.
The standard usage of properties.
It's the OLC. The open logic complete.
And that is the first paragraph. In the first paragraph, it says, if you go back on the screen share, it says specifically in the first paragraph, it stands for a property, and it's specifically talking about a monadic predication. You're a moron.
Obviously that's how I was using it, moron. That's literally what I said. Verbatim. Stop interrupting me. Holy shit.
Yes or no? We're going to get back to the question. We've dodged with it multiple times. Yes or no?
No, you're the one who ran to this, by the way.
I'm not the one who ran to anything. You're running right now. You're galloping the way for the substance, right? So let's say on the current point, the current question.
All right, so now let me finish that. Because you interrupted me.
Are elements of a set members of a set? Yes or no?
Yes.
Are these members standardly treated as objects? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. Are objects standardly treated to be properties in metaphysics?
No.
Exactly. So they're standardly.
That's never what I said. Hey, bro. You know what?
That would concession you moron. So you could see that.
Does someone have live record of this? Because I might just leave right now. This is bad. This is terrible. It's absolutely terrible. Can I respond? Why do you interrupt me and talk for 10 years?
Double concession.
No, it's not. You can say that. You're not letting me respond. You're talking over me. This is not good. You just talk over me.
That's objects or properties. I'm talking over you because
I never said that. What I said was we can have stats denote the elements by fulfilling a property. It's described in the shorthand notion.
stop screaming, brother. It's okay. It's just a TikTok conversation. Relax.
I don't, bro.
So
It's
as I'm
just you're
saying,
interrupting me. It's annoying. It's
bro,
annoying.
stop stuttering, bro, stop
It's
stuttering.
annoying.
Right?
You're interrupting me. It's annoying. It's very annoying.
You're having a mental breakdown right now. You're having a mental breakdown.
Yes,
Relax, bro.
you interrupting me is rage baiting me. It's spiking my cortisol. It's spiking my cortisol. Okay? I might just disengage. Bro. Hey, we got live. So I might just disengage. Bro.
If you want to run away, that's your choice.
No, fine. Here, can I or this. Here. How about you talking to Wait. How about you talking to instead? How about you talking to instead? How about that? That works. That works.
This is the classic move of you running away from the topic.
No, I'm not trying to run. I'm trying to get out my points.
Yo, Paul,
You're trying to.
How about this? How about talking six? How about talking six? How about talking six?
Is getting in your way of getting out your points.
How about talking six?
How
about what Neil's saying?
CJ, here's what I'm saying. It's a very simple point. Just hear me out, brother. So because you agreed, right? Don't panic. Don't have a mental breakdown. Don't have an anxiety attack. You agreed that given the standard usage of properties, don't interrupt, is something which is not used interchangeably with objects. Then you agree the standard usage of the elements is the type of thing you interrupted. Given the standard usage of elements, they would be objects, and you agreed that it wouldn't.
Wait, after you're done talking, can I talk?
You low IQ imbecile. You just agreed to this. You blundered.
No, all right. Is it my turn? Is it my turn? All right.
Bro,
I give you. I respect. Everyone sees. Everyone sees.
No, it's not your turn. I'm still talking. Shut up. So you should have good manners. Just you should have good logic, which you don't have currently because you're really bad at logic, right? So I'm telling you right now, right, to continue my point, because you agreed that properties given their standard usage would not be objects, and elements given their standard usage are objects, then elements given their standard usage would not be properties. Therefore, you conceded the point. There you go. You lost.
All right, it's my turn now. Everyone can see how I respected his time. I didn't interrupt him, no matter how confused that I see stuff we're saying. I didn't interrupt him. I'm expecting the same respect. I'm expecting the same respect. So what I said was, when you start LARPing me on properties, you're making this one very, very big misstrike that's a blunder that I've been establishing multiple times.
I did.
We have set theoretic notions. It doesn't entail, it's denoting elements. How I used it was this: I denoted a set by which its elements are defined by meeting a property. And I said that this is how it's used in the literature. Never made the claim that properties are the same thing as elements. I went to the books. I showed you. See how he's interrupting me? That's the first flag. Anyways, so that's why I pulled up the books, because how the books describe it is, one, the first page talks about extensionality. A set is defined purely by its members. So let's say this. Let's say we have the property of all things being red, and let's say we have the second set that are just all the elements that are red. Because they have the same elements, they're knowing the same set by extensionality, which license the notion of the shorthand notation. The shorthand notation says that we can build sets by saying the set of all x such that x meets a property, which is how I was using it, which is why I said I didn't use it incorrectly at all. And I never made the claim that properties are the same thing as elements. That's a misstrike. And
are you done talking? Okay, so he's whipping up shit in the kettle, guys. Actual shit in the kettle. Bro, you're just trash, bro. Look, I said specifically that properties, right, in the context of what we're talking about. So when I said, and I've specified this and clarified this multiple different times while you're modifying your own position, I said that properties, right, in the context of what we're talking about here, when I said this little set theoretic term, what I'm talking about there is you don't use properties usually interchangeably with elements and sets, which are the terms you are utilizing in this conversation. And then now you're agreeing that they're not used interchangeably with this, after originally denying the claim I made when I said that properties are not semantically interchangeable with elements. And it's a theoretical concept. You said, what? I don't even know how to properly imitate your speech pattern.
Paulo, she was only 14, bro.
But yeah, I don't care about your girlfriend being 14, bro. That's your thing type shit. So keep this 14. Why are you telling me your girlfriend's age, bro? Don't leak yourself with the panel like that, bro. Relax, Pedo. So to continue with what I was saying before that Phil character interrupted my point, right? So, as I was saying, brother, because you agreed on that specific point, which is that they're not used interchangeably in the context of the semantics of set theory, the concepts insofar as elements and things such as sets are concerned, after originally denying and neglecting and trying to disconfirm my original prop on the given matter would be something which is a dialectical performative contradiction, and so because of that, you have blundered, and that's fine. And that's fine because I'm a good father. I forgive sons.
I don't, dude.
So I forgive you, son. We can move on.
Maybe. All right, we can move. All right, so this is just that I never made that claim. Again, setting that notion, it's still a notion. That's all I was saying. And going back, now let's go from the meta. Because remember, you're the one who brought this up. You're the one who divulged from the substance. Yes, let's go back. Yeah, let's go back to the main point. Yeah, we can do it the same way, where we respect each other's talk. So here, I can start because I had the argument. I was the one trying to provide the argument for it, so I can start.
Yeah, wonderful. You tapped.
I bet. I respect your time. And I respect your time the same. I respect your time the same. Yeah, let's start. All right, let's start. Let's just start. All right, I'll start, and if you can, I'll start, and you can. All right, I want to make this clear because I don't think it's going to so far yet. When we just say that there is, or the identity relation there is fixed to its nature, we say that God is what the notion of his divine properties entail. So we're saying
God is just the nature.
So when we say that when we say that God is what his divine properties are, that is drawing that identity relation. Okay, and what he's trying to say is when we say that. For us to not fall into dilemmas where we say that there's more gods, for a God to be for each properties, because we say that God is being picked out by his properties, then if they were not numerically identical, then there'd be multiple properties picking out different gods. That was the types of inferences that he was trying to make there, and why I was denying it was off a very, very, very simple idea.
Inference, bro.
Well, how denying it, bro? Here, you can address that. I'll let you address if I said something wrong. Obviously, I'm respectful. The problem is we can say that God is being picked out by his elements, or that by which is picked out by his elements, without the knowing that each property picks out a different God, because while remaining that they're numerically distinct, because the collection of elements is not the same thing as one element. As to extensionality, which is on the first page of Sets of Work, literally the first page, it talks about how there's only one set, and it says denoted by its members. So the set of one of the God's divine properties is not the same set as the collection of properties. So, or the collection of elements, which are denoted by properties, obviously. So when we're looking at that, listen, I'm almost done. Then I'll let you talk. I know it's going on for a little bit. That's why I'm almost finishing up. So when let's say God has, let's say just for example, let's say he has three divine properties where we have X, Y, and Z, and the elements are denoted by X, Y, and Z. Let's say if we were to reduce that and create a subsection, let's just say X or Y, that's no longer denoting or picking out God, because God is being picked out by all three, or the collection of it, not a single particular. Right,
okay, cool. So just to be clear on a couple of things, right? So I'm going to talk about the fact that he said a couple of things regarding collection. Under Aegis, God is not treated to be a collection, because collection and sets are going to definitionally be composite things, because they're composed of things within the set, like the elements, for example, which are numerically distinct from one another. So that would not be the case. That's incompatible with ADS. They're not going to be identified the divine nature to be a collection of things. They're going to be identifying the divine nature to be one undifferentiated, indivisible reality, which is going to be the divine essence, of course. Some Thomas can take this to be one principle of action, or one principle of operation, etc., etc. So it's going to be one suppositor, right? And this suppositor is not going to have numerically distinct properties, right? So when he claimed, and when he tried to treat divine nature to be the type of thing which is a collection, that's a blunder. That's not how it's treated in atheists by Thomistic Trinitarians. That's incorrect, firstly. Secondly, to talk about the actual points here, the major point here is very simple, and I want you to keep up with me. Okay, so the point of the matter is, this is the most important part. You better listen to this, right? So the point is simply that because God is counted by the essence, and you take the essence to be the properties of God, right? Then, again, you're counting God by the properties. Did you agree on this? Yes. Did I agree that this is your position? Yes. Before they signed a dialectical blood contract on this, you signed